It's not been free for Black people, and we are tired.
With our platform, we're helping to end injustice by exposing it.
Join us in standing for excellence in journalism and serving our community. Download the African Diaspora News app today.
Well, my name is Jermaine Timmons. I'm from America. I was born in California, and then I grew up in Chicago. And, I ended up coming to South Africa about 2.5, 3 years ago. And I ended up starting a YouTube channel called Make Africa Great Again. Not that Africa isn't great. I get pushback on that. Africa is great, right?
Yeah.
But we can make it better, right? There's always ways for improvement to make it better for our people, because unfortunately a lot of our people are suffering here in Africa. And I just picked up a camera and just wanted to change the misconception and the negative stereotypes of Africa, that is just poor and that people are just riding on elephants to get to work. I just wanted to change that negative perception of Africa.
Mm. Okay, and tell us about your experience to one of these places that you explored.
Oh, yes, it was a squatter camp that I went to not too long ago. I think it's called I forget the name.
Tango.
Yeah, one of those camps.
And I'm here at a squatter camp called, what is it, my love?
Pongo Camp in Krugersdorp.
Pongo Camp, where I'm trying to get a better understanding of what's going on here. I want to interview some of the local people. You have whites and blacks living here, right? And so, I'm seeing people around. Maybe I might, hey, boss, can I interview you?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah? You stay here.
Yeah, but what do you want to interview me for?
I was just trying to get a better understanding of this like environment and what's going on here.
But it's people like you, because we are living here.
Yeah.
Pongo camp. Yeah. So I went there just to I was suggested to go there to show, because it was an interesting perspective where it was whites and blacks living in the squatter camp. And my friend who is South Africa said, I think it would be more intriguing for you to go to that settlement so they also can, because people tend to have more empathy when they see whites suffering than blacks. They're used to seeing blacks suffering, and that's the norm. And a lot of people have capitalized on that suffering. So I wanted to show a different dynamic of other people suffering to raise awareness. You know what I mean? So that's what I did. And I went there and, I passed out food, I passed out money, because those are things I do, but I don't like recording those things because I'm not doing that for clickbait. And and then I had an account, unfortunate, and I was hesitant to post this encounter because I don't want to make people from the diaspora to think or be afraid to come back home.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Was this your first racist encounter in South Africa since you've been here?
No, it wasn't my first. Fortunately, it wasn't my first. I had another incident where I took my kids to the park, and there was a white lady there, and there was many kids there. It wasn't just my kids. It's probably about 20 kids running around, and she has a pit bull. And all the kids are already afraid of the pit bull that she has. And she comes to the park and then she lets it go because, her pit bull in her eyes isn't dangerous. So she feels like it's fine to let the pit bull go. And then the kids are running and it goes up to the swing and it's biting the swing and swinging the swing back and forth. And I kindly went up to the lady and said, hey, can you put your dog on a leash? You see, the kids are trying to play. This is not a play. This is not a dog play area. This is a kids play area, And she looks at me and she kind of gives me like slack and like, why are you worried about my dog? And I said, because there's kids here and they're afraid of your dog. I would just appreciate if you could just put it on its leash. And so she's like, where are you from? That accent doesn't even sound like you're from here. You're not even from South Africa. It sounds like you're from America. Go back to America. Me and my dog come to this park all the time and we don't have any issues. And I finally stopped talking to the lady and I went to her husband and I went and spoke to him because I don't like arguing with women. It's never a good look when you're arguing with women. And I went to the husband and I said to him, do you see that the kids are scared of your dog? The kids are trying to play. It's not acceptable for the dog to be running around a pit bull while kids are afraid. Could you please put it back on the leash? And he went ahead and put the dog on the leash. And yeah, she had a few more words for me that I won't repeat here, but she wasn't very happy that I said something about her dog running around with kids.
Wow. And for me, it's the fact that they tell you to go back to America. And now in this video as well, you were told back to go back to America. What does that mean to you, for you?
It means that unfortunately, I don't think us black people can go anywhere where they tell you to go back to Africa, then you come to Africa and they tell you to go back to America. And you just have to, what it means to me essentially is you have to have tough skin. You have to have tough skin, and you can't let these things affect you, even though it does affect you, psychologically and
Yeah.
mentally. You have to understand that, like with the gentleman, I feel like it was more so economical envy, where you get people who are frustrated with you because they look at you as, oh, you're from a first world country and you think you're better than us. So, when you start having emotional intelligence, which a lot of people don't know about, you understand to not allow people to get underneath your skin as much.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I got as well from the video, watching your video. I felt a lot of inferiority complex from the guy more than anything. The fact that you are coming from first world country and you're seeing me in this position as a white man, you know? Um, and for me, I really just want to know, in your opinion, right, what societal issues in South Africa do experiences like these highlight?
What you said, what societal issues does this highlight?
Yes, yes, in South
Like,
Africa.
I in South Africa, um, I feel like the bigger issue at hand is I do feel like, hmm, that's a hard one. I feel like with me going to Orania, I don't know if you know I went to Orania.
Oh,
With
you
me
did?
going to Orania, and yes, I have it documented on my YouTube channel, where I went to Orania. I think that that they cater here to South Africa to a lot of whites. And
Mm,
I think there's a woman, South African woman, who says it best. Her name is Kim Heller, if I'm not mistaken. Kim Heller. She speaks about the ANC and how they cater to the elite whites. And I feel like a lot of whites here, and then what's going on here in South Africa is, there's a lot of pandering to them, and I see there's a lot of pandering to Chinese foreigners. And I feel like what's going on is, unfortunately, South Africa is not making it easier for black South, for maybe African Americans to come here and be treated maybe as the same as a white South African. And all I'm saying is that we shouldn't be treated better. I'm just saying that we want the same inclusion, as you guys say, as a Rainbow Nation, to be included in South Africa and be treated fairly as a South African, because a lot of us African Americans, we're coming here not to cause issues. We're coming here to help the economy, to start businesses, to be an asset. And I just think that it would be good if more opportunities were given to African Americans to be able to come here and get the same treatment as Chinese. I think Chinese get citizenship here in South Africa. I
yeah.
don't understand these things that they're allowing for other foreigners, but not African Americans.
Mm. And how has your perceptions changed about the race relations in South Africa before and after you came here? Now that you're living here,
Um,
experiencing it firsthand.
Experiencing firsthand, I read a book because I like to read authors from Africa who can explain the history, because a lot of sometimes us Americans are ignorant to our
Yeah.
history. And I read a book called Land Matters by Tembika. He's an author here from South Africa, and I think he puts it best. How I see South Africa and the state that it's in, I see it as, he said in the book, he says there's two realities here, right? There's a first world country and a third world country. And he goes on to say that a lot of blacks are living in the third world country when a lot of whites are living in the first world country, right? And then he goes on to say in the book that essentially now what's going on in South Africa is they've created an economical apartheid where now we can discriminate against you economically, right? So now the same colored communities and the same black communities that you had during the apartheid, you still find out to this day that a lot of those communities are still the exact same as it was back in the apartheid era. So a lot of times I find myself, now that I see South Africa, I do see progress being made, but I do think, as Kim Heller states, I do see that the ANC is catering to a lot of elite whites and wealth, and they're not necessarily looking out for the best interest of their people. And it's very disheartening to see.
Yeah, but I do think there has been progress in, I mean, there was BEE implemented, right, which is the Black Empowerment um, system that has been implemented so that it helps Black people, because they were behind in apartheid, and now they're ahead. So there are
Mm,
things that are implemented to help Black people economically, right? Um,
mm.
yeah, and I want to ask you. There's something this man said to you, right, during your encounter. He said, "People like you that come here and if this land." It's people like you that come here and if this land. What do you think he meant about that?
I think he's speaking on black foreigners. There's a a very negative perception of black foreigners here in South Africa. So they kind of put us all in one boat. Whether you be Nigerian or Zimbabwean or African American, I think they see a lot of black foreigners coming here and destroying the economy, unfortunately. And I think a lot of crime that is committed by the foreigners, perpetuates that negative perception of black foreigners.
Mm. And what do you think Black South Africans specifically are not doing right by, in terms of taking back what's theirs?
I just feel like, when I went to Orania, what I would say, me personally going there, and it was a great trip, and I was impressed on what they've accomplished, but I do think that things like that can't be allowed here in South Africa, even though it's private land and it's privately owned. I think things like that are very can be very scary for the future of South Africa, because those kind of communities are going to only grow bigger. And as a guy commented underneath my video, he says, towns like this is where your future apartheid boys, where your future racists, where your future Hitlers are born. And where you don't have integration and you're allowing these all white communities to flourish here in South Africa, I think that that is a very dangerous thing that can come back and bite the black South Africans in the near future. Especially, they're already now trying to take Cape Town over. They're saying, the DA saying they want to take Cape Town over from the ANC. So pretty much in the future, you're going to have it where the whites are going to be in Cape Town and they're going to take it over, and then the blacks, hey, go to Johannesburg, go to, they're going to do that, and that's not progressive for South Africa.
And who do we blame? Do we blame the government? Do we blame Black people? Who do we blame?
I think essentially who you have to hold accountable is, of course, your government, your politicians. They're
Yeah.
supposed to set legislation to protect there's every citizen, and then not just black citizens, white citizens. So I think you have to blame your parliament, your government, for allowing these things to take place, because it's a very scary. Like, I went there in Torani, and people were staring at me. I even had because the guy took me on a tour in my car, and security pulled up behind me because they have their own police. They're pretty much their own sovereign state, where they are pretty much, they don't even really recognize you guys as black presidents. And they pulled up on me, and the guy pulled up. He had his hand close to his gun on his holster, and then the guy had to roll his window down and say, "No, he's with me. He's with me. It's okay." And it's like these type of areas. I have to blame the government for allowing these things to happen here in South Africa.
Yeah, Orania honestly is a different conversation on its own. And as it stands, the ANC has recognized Orania as an independent state. So that's even more scarier. So yeah, I, conversations about Orania and the fact that it's happening right under the government's nose. It's like they know these things are happening, and they're still allowing it. Um, Another thing I wanted to ask you, right? You said at the end of your video, which was I found very striking. You said that people should wake up and realize that we need to do everything in our power to take Africa back and help the poor blacks and whites so that we can make Africa great. What did you mean by that?
Yeah, essentially, I think that I think that South Africa has the power. Like just earlier, I was watching a video on homes that were built out of tires and they were built out of like rubbish and waste. And I believe that South Africa has the power to help not only just the poor blacks, but also poor whites who want to be here, to help get it back to where it needs to be, because the potential is here. The potential is here. It's such a beautiful country. The people here are so beautiful. I just think that, unfortunately, you have a lot of corrupt politicians who are more worried about, skimming off the top of the budget and taking money to go party in Santa and just this greed that you find here, that if we were to come together, we can make Africa great again, and South Africa especially, because it's already great. It just needs a little work, and it needs people, communities, to come together and help one another. Not have this mentality that we have in America where it's every man for himself, and that's what I'm starting to see here in South Africa. Every man for himself, and becoming materialistic and wanting the newest iPhone. Those things we don't need to be worried about. We just need to try to help one another. And then South Africa can be a first world country and not a third world country.
Mm. Yeah. Sometimes I feel like it's easier said than done, because white people, especially South African white people, have made it a thing to tell us constantly that we don't want to associate with you and we don't want unity. This fake unity of yours, we don't want it. So it becomes a bit hard, honestly. And with your experience in Pagan, right? What expectations did you have going there?
To where exactly? To Clinton.
Yeah.
Oh, well, for me, when I want to go there, I just want to go there just to, I'm very curious. See, a lot of people warned me not to go to Orania. A lot of people told me I wouldn't make it back. But for me, I feel like these type of places need to be exposed. And I feel like people need to expose these places. They need to go there and see what the people have to say, so that they can be exposed to the world. And that, when it stays quiet and people don't know about it, that's also a scary thing, because now, it's better for people to know what's going on in these townships and get a better understanding of how these people are thinking, so that people in South Africa, because I meet a lot of Black South Africans that are not even aware about these places. They're not aware of Orania. They're not aware of these townships, and they need to be made aware of these things, so that if anything happens in the future, they will know.
And I know that you're going to Klein, which is another white-only town, soon. What are you looking forward to?
I'm really looking forward to seeing, engaging with the people. I want to get to know, well, just understand how they think, see how I'm receptive, and just go there and try to, like I said, I'm just trying to get a better understanding of the way the people think there, so that Black South Africans can also get a better understanding. But the surprising thing about it all, I did an interview in Rosebank asking Black South Africans what do they think. And a lot of Black South Africans don't care that they have their own township. A lot of Black South Africans are not bothered by these things. So I guess maybe the younger generation, I should say, there were the older people I interviewed that didn't agree with it. But yeah, I just want to see how the people think and understand how they feel like this is right.
Yeah, yeah. And do you think, in your opinion, that white people and Black people in South Africa could ever be unified, according to you? Is
Yeah,
it a
definitely, because
far-fetched dream, or is it like is it realistic?
no, I think, I have met some nice white South African people here, and I do believe that there are white South Africans here who um, do have remorse for what their ancestors have done and do want to move forward, So there are definitely white people who feel that way. And then, I do feel like in the near future, but see, that's where it's hard because now when you have these towns like Orania and Clifton, essentially those children who are kind of sheltered from being socially involved or or integrated with other blacks, they unfortunately are going to they're going to continue that ideology of hate, or that I don't even know what to really call it. But those type of people, yeah, there's no hope for them. But for the ones who are more so integrated into society, I do find there are some who are cool. But the ones who are living away in these Oranias and Clifton, I think those people will never try to find peace with Black South Africans.
So true. Um, and comparing racism in South Africa and racism in America, which one would you say has you've experienced? Which one is
I
worse? Your
I
worst.
would I definitely would say America still, because the biggest thing is the whites here are the minority, like we are in America as African Americans. So
Mm,
we're a minority in America, and they're a minority here. So with the racism in America, it's so deeply embedded in our justice system,
mm,
and in our healthcare system. So it's worse definitely there in America because they make up the majority. And there's a lot of hatred that Donald Trump. This is why I actually left America, because when Donald Trump made it into office, there was so much anger, there was so much hatred, there was so much like just a negative a vibe in America, where it was, oh, if you're Mexican, go back to Mexico. If you're African American and you don't like it here and you're protesting, go back to Africa. You have these people who are spewing so much hatred towards one another, and even people are now saying they're afraid with this new election. If some
yeah.
people don't like the outcome, that a civil war might break out. So that's where America stands, and with the mass shootings and people targeting black people and shooting us up in grocery stores and shooting us up in churches, it's not even comparable.
So true. Um, I guess it makes sense because they are the minority here, but we are still oppressed in our own country, which is hilarious. I understand that you have a YouTube channel and you basically journal all your experiences in South Africa. What is your vision for your channel going forward?
Well, my channel is Make Africa Great Again. No offense, please. I get some people who give me pushback. Africa is great. Yes, it is
Why the
great, but
title?
we can.
It's so controversial. I'm sorry for cutting you. It's so controversial. Why the title?
Because really, it's not even a dig at Africa. I took it from Donald Trump, "Make America Great Again," right? And I
Ah,
saw people wearing hats. There's an artist, I forget his name, from America. He had a hat in his music video saying "Make Africa Great Again." And for me, with that statement, and it's controversial, but it's in a good way, saying like,
yeah.
how I mean it is, let's take back our resources, let's take back our minerals, let's take back our power. Africa is not where it needs to be. Africa, unfortunately, has a very negative perception around the world. So
Mm,
when I say make Africa great again, I'm saying we need to take back our power. We need to take back, as Akon stated a while ago, we need to change the perception of Africa, right? So that's my YouTube channel, and in the near future, my whole thing is that I just want to travel around South Africa. I want to go to Angola. I want to go to Zimbabwe. I want to go to Namibia. I want to go all up and down Africa and just showcase the beauty that is here in Africa. Because as we know, a lot of whites are coming here and enjoying the beauty, when a lot of blacks in the diaspora, when they want to go on vacation, they're running to Europe, or they're running to these other countries where they're being mistreated. So it's like, hey, come back to Africa, invest in Africa, Bring your money here, travel here, experience. It's not what you think it is, and just trying to change that negative perception of Africa.
Sure. We need that. We need Africa to be shown in a good light, honestly, because that's what the mainstream media doesn't show, right? And lastly, my last question for you is, would, because you said you recently moved to South Africa, right?
No, well,
Correct?
that's yeah, 3 years ago. 3 years ago,
Yes.
yeah. So that's kind of recent.
Have you moved
Hmm.
permanently, or is it just for now, temporarily?
No, I want to move permanently, but I still want to travel around Africa, because my fiance, she's South African. So that's how I was able to come in. She's South African, and we have kids together. And so yeah, that's how I initially came to Africa, because of my fiance. She's South African. So yeah, that's what brought me here, and I'm planning on traveling more around Africa, to showcase the beauty within Africa. And I just want to see what country resonates with my spirit the best. Because unfortunately, I love South Africa, but the a lot of things I see here, is very sad in some perspectives, to still see, the poverty, and still see, a lot of Black people still struggling here in South Africa, unfortunately.
Mm, mm. Um, and so you are married, right?
Hmm. Well, she's
And
my fiance, but yeah, she's my fiance. Yeah.
you went to the squatter camp with your wife, with your
Yes.
fiance.
Yeah, my
Why
fiance. Yes, I was told
why
her.
your fiance? Or you didn't expect any sort of negative reactions from them? Because that's a
I
dangerous
went to,
with a woman.
yeah, I went with a friend. I went with a big guy. So he was kind of my bodyguard. So you guys didn't see him. He was off camera. So
Well,
I didn't just go there by myself and with my fiance. I made sure I had my friend with me. And yeah, it's dangerous, but I think when you go there, you just have to be humble. And when people see you passing out things, giving out money, giving out food, people are going to tend to not be so negative towards you.
mm, mm. And if you were South African, right, what would you do differently?
If I was South African,
A South African citizen.
what would I do differently? I think for me, I would mainly, I think for me, from going to Orania, I would more so push, and which I tell South Africans is to create, be self-sufficient. Don't rely on the government for anything. Get your own land. Do what the Iranian people come together with the community, with people who are like-minded, and just live off the grid if you have to. Get your own solar panels. Stop relying on the government, and understand that essentially you have to do things for yourself, because this government is not looking out for the best interest of you. And that's how I would look at it as a South African, is just realizing that I need to do what I need to do for me, and not rely on the government or anybody.
Yeah, because they're not coming to save us at all. Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you so much, Jermaine. Do you have anything that you want to say?
Thank you for having me on the platform. I gotta speak to Philip. I've been wanting to talk to him. I love what you guys are doing on this platform. I
Yeah.
appreciate all the news that you guys cover in Africa to America. I love what's going on here, and keep it up. And by the way, for anybody, please don't forget to go to my channel, Make Africa Great Again. And it's not offensive. It's no offense. We just can do better, a lot better. We can do a lot
Yeah.
better. And if you want to donate to the channel, my Cash App is South Africa MAGA. South Africa MAGA, all lowercase. That's my Cash App. So if anybody wants to donate to the movement in America, please donate to the movement, so I can continue to travel throughout South Africa and showcasing the beauty that is here in the motherland.
Yes, thank you so much. I really appreciate the work that you're doing as well. I'm going to be looking forward to seeing your visit to Kleinfontein. Good luck
You
with
must
that.
check out my Irania. You gotta check out my Irania video. You guys, I sent it to you guys. I wanted you guys to cover it, because I wanted you guys to see me there, because I think I was the first a black YouTuber to ever go there.
Yeah, yeah. And how was your experience there? Would you ever go again?
My No, I would definitely go again. I would definitely go again. My experience there was it was very eye opening. And the gentleman who showed gave me a private tour. I had a private tour all around the property. It made me envious, to be honest with you, to see what they were doing here in South Africa, to see how they are being self-sustained, to see how they're not relying on the government. It made me envious, and it made me also very kind of angry because even though they tried to say to me that it's not racist, it is kind of racist because when I was there, the people were just looking at me. Like when I was standing there waiting for my waiting for me to get my tour, people were just staring at me, looking at me, giving me the side eye. And I ended up getting a great interview with one of the only black guy I saw who was dropping off mail there. I interviewed him, and he was like, "Yeah, you can't stand here. You can't go and get food. If you stand around too long, they'll come to you and ask you what you're doing and tell you to leave." So it was a good experience, a very eye opener. But as I explained to them, I said it's frustrating for me because my ancestors tried to do the same thing in America with Black Wall Street, and our town was essentially burned to the ground.
Sure. Wow. That's tragic.
So
That's really
yeah.
tragic.
And then
Um,
the guy who gave me the tour, he tried to make a comparison. He said, "Oh, us South Africa, us Afrikaners are like African Americans. We're minorities, just like you guys in your country." And I was about to say, "Well, but we never had power like you guys did." And then he stopped me and said, "But yeah, you guys never had power like we did." And I was just like, "Yeah, don't try to compare African Americans as the minority to the same thing as what you guys are here." But he was just trying to say that that's why they have to look out for themselves because they are now being mistreated by the government and they're not given the same opportunities as Black South Africans.
but they're not going to be given the same opportunities because they have the wealth. I mean, 90% of the South African wealth lies in the 10%, which is the minority, which is crazy if you think about it, you know? But yeah, yeah, yeah. Anyway, I wish you all the best with your visit, and I'll definitely look at your video of Orania.
Please do, please do. You guys might need to post that on your channel for people to see it. And yeah, I want to just give it more exposure because I did get a good tour around the property where he showed me everything, how they even are harvesting their own crop. They are like self-sufficient completely.
They even have their own banks, I heard. And
Yeah, I show all that. I show the money. I show the currency. They have their own currency. They have everything. So that to me, for Black South Africans, is scary. I think this is scary
scary.
for them to allow this to happen because I don't know if you remember, there was a priest that got arrested by your government who was plotting to poison the water and kill Black South Africans. So when you allow these towns to flourish, you don't know what these people are thinking, and they're some of them deal with the farm. They deal with the crop. They're dealing with you guys' food. So, there's things that they could do to your food that can make people sick.
Sure. Wow. Wow.
Food for thought. Food for thought.
Yeah, food for thoughts. You don't think about things like that, but there's a lot that they could plot against us, because already we know
Exactly.
they don't want to associate with us. So it's food for thought, honestly. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you,
Well,
Jermaine.
thank
Thank you
you.
so much for joining us. It's been great and lovely to meet you and chat with you.
Same with you. Thank you for having me on the network, and I appreciate everything that the African Diaspora News Channel is doing. I just gotta tell you, I like when you cover the news. You gotta have a little bit more attitude when you're talking about these all white townships. You gotta have a little more attitude when you're talking about it.
I'll take that note.
Okay.
Thank you. Bye.
All right. Well, take care. Bye, Mama.